Hey you guys, welcome to our YouTube channel. We are a new channel on YouTube and we are starting. Um, this is like our first time. We are very excited. We have always wanted to do YouTube, but we never knew where to start. And we both love true crime and playing Roblox, so it's like a perfect combination. In this channel, we will be discussing true crime cases, including missing person, murder cases, and serial killer cases. While playing a Roblox hobby, we both love true crime and playing Roblox, so it's a perfect combination. There are two owners to this channel, and I am owner number one, making our first video and my first video. I am going to be discussing a case today, and I am very excited to do this. But before I get started, I like to say I do not mean any harm to anyone involved in this video who I'm talking about. This video is for educational purposes only, and to bring awareness to the case. It's very important with, especially missing person cases, to bring awareness to it. It would mean a lot if you guys could subscribe since we are new. We are just starting out and sharing our video with your friends if they like true crime just like us. We are very excited to start this and can't wait and hope to see this maybe get somewhere one day. So with all of that being said, let's just get right into it and discuss today's case. Okay, now we can start to talk about the case I'm going to be discussing today. But before I actually get into the case, I would like to say that after you guys watch this video, I definitely suggest you guys go and do your own research on this topic or on this case, because I cannot cover it all because there's so much information with theories, and they're very interesting. So you guys should definitely research all the theories. And yeah, I'm gonna just be covering two of the most popular theories, but there's way more theories and they're very interesting. So, with all of that being said, let's get started on the case. So, today I will be talking about the Jonbenet Ramsey case. I'm sure many of you guys have heard of it before, if not already know a little bit about the case. It's a very well-known case and very popular actually. So let's just get started into all the information. So Jonbenet Ramsey was born August 6th of 1999. So if she was still alive to this day, she would have been 30 years old. She is actually named after her father, Jonbenet Ramsey, and the name of her mom is Patsy Ramsey. She had four siblings, and out of the four siblings, Jonbenet was the youngest. She was an American child beauty queen, and she was in beauty pageants. She was a very beautiful girl, and she competed in beauty pageants. Her and her family lived in Boulder, Colorado. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. I'm not good with pronunciation at all, so yeah. So that is actually where she was murdered too. Her murder is still actually unsolved to this day, and it's one of the most famous police investigations. Jonbenet was a very outgoing girl who loved the center of attention. By the time she reached age 6, she had won multiple beauty pageants, which is crazy because she was only 6. Her family was very wealthy, and her dad was a multi-millionaire businessman. Her mother was also a former beauty pageant queen, so Jonbenet was following her mother's footsteps, and they had a very luxurious home. Okay, now we'll be talking about the day that Jonbenet's life was sadly taken. On December 26th of 1996, Patsy Ramsey, her mom, called the police in the early morning to report her daughter missing from her bed and finding a 3-page handwritten ransom note that was demanding 118 wait, no, $118,000 to have her daughter returned safely. The crazy thing actually about this is that in most cases, the kidnapper, intruder, or whatever isn't going to take the time to write a ransom note that handwritten. I mean, that's 3 pages long. Usually they just scribble something and go to either demanding just the money or saying they have the daughter or their child. But that's kind of what's fishy about this case is that it was, first of all, 3 pages long, and on top of that, handwritten, so they took the time to do that, which obviously they usually don't because they can get caught easily. So yeah. So, even though the ransom was said to not contact authorities, her parents did contact them and reported what happened. After they contacted the authorities, they also contacted their friends to come and help look for Jonbenet. Now, this was actually a very dumb move because the crime scene was still very fresh. So the only people who should have been allowed in the house were the family and the police. This is because like DNA and footprints of the stuff can be tampered with. And so when all the friends that the parents invited came into the home, they obviously were touching maybe the door or walking in, and all of that could have been evidence to lead them to who did this. So that was very dumb because they just literally wiped away all the evidence. Um, and the other crazy thing is that only Jonbenet's room was the only one covered off in the entire house, which meant that the friends and the parents invited earlier to help were able to roam around the house, destroying evidence like footprints and DNA that the kidnapper or whoever took her could have touched. It was also actually reported that one of the Patty's friends, the mom, was helping her wipe down the kitchen, which could have destroyed a lot of evidence that could have helped that could have led to help find Jonbenet. So this is something frustrating because in this case because there's so many investigation mistakes that were in this case. So around 5:55 a.m. So this did happen very early in the morning. The police arrived at the house and there was no signs of forced entry, which is like a broken door, broken window, all of that, which led to confusion because they thought Jonbenet was kidnapped due to the no. They searched the home except for the basement. So the parents were left with frustration, a lot of it because the ransom note stated, I will call you tomorrow. Get plenty of rest. Like, how creepy is that? Anyways, so they were waiting for that call, and after several hours, the police left the home, and the parents were anxiously waiting for the call from the kidnapper or the intruder with the detective, Linda Arndid. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I suck at pronunciation, but her. So they waited and waited for the call, but nothing. Then the next day, 10 a.m. rolled around, and there was still nothing. And it was actually reported that John and Patsy, the parents, had no acknowledgement that the deadline from whoever wrote the ransom had passed. So you would think that if a kidnapper or intruder took your daughter and said, I will call you by this time, be ready, get rest, you would and that time rolled around and still nothing, you would be nervous. You would be like, what the heck? But it was reported. They show no signs of acknowledgement. So that's kind of crazy. But, anyways, so the investigator that has stayed with them suggested that John, the dad, look around the house to see if anything that Jonbenet owned was out of place or anything looked out of the ordinary. Her dad later, so her dad went ahead to look for all of that stuff to see if anything was out of the ordinary or anything. And then he went down to the basement where he found his daughter's body, Jonbenet. His dad actually later stated in an interview. He said this in an interview, so I'm gonna quote it. I knew instantly what I found. I found my daughter. She was lying on a white blanket. The blanket was wrapped around her. Her hands were tied above her head. She had tape over her mouth. I immediately knelt down over her, felt her cheek, took the tape off immediately off her mouth. I tried to untie the cord that was around her arms, and I couldn't get the knot untied. This was all said by her dad in an interview later on, in 2000. Her dad then brought her upstairs hoping she was alive. He laid her on the floor hoping to, hear a heartbeat or whatever. The detective that was actually with them confirmed then and there that Jonbenet was dead. And then the detective later on came to say that she prepared herself for possible confrontation because she thought the father may have done it, so the detective thought the father could have been a suspect. So obviously after they found her body, they had to do an autopsy to find out what killed her and get a lot of information from it. So they did the autopsy, and the autopsy actually then confirmed that her cause of death was strangulation, a skull fracture, and shocks from a stun gun. This is terrible. I feel so bad because no child should have to go through that, especially at 6 in your own home. That's terrifying. Her mouth had been covered in duct tape and her wrists and neck were wrapped with a white cord. Her torso had been covered in a white blanket. There was no evidence of rape. No semen was found on the body, but there was evidence of sexual assault. There was also a pineapple found in her stomach, which means that before this all happened, she must have just had a snack. Pineapple. Her parents claimed that they did not give her any pineapple that night. And so, yeah, but there was a bowl of pineapple found in the kitchen that had her brother's, Burke's, fingerprints on it, who was 9 at the time, by the way. But the fingerprints did not give much information or evidence because the fingerprints cannot show time. So it wasn't, helpful. The parents said that Burke was in his room the whole time, fast asleep, and there was no evidence to say otherwise, so that was left alone. So now we're going to get into the conspiracy theories involving the case, or at least some of the popular theories. Like I said, I can't cover all of them, so I suggest you guys do your research because it's so interesting. But yeah, I'm going to get into the more popular theories. So one of the theories is that the family did it, and that the other one is that an intruder did it. The investigation really focused on the family theory because police felt the ransom note was staged, due to how long it was, and the note was written using pen and paper from the ransom family home. Now, that is shocking to me because you would think if you were going to kidnap a child, you would not take the time to sit there using the family paper and pen or whatever, write a 3-page handwritten note, and take the time to do that. That does not make any sense. So, yeah. So the amount, also something creepy is that the amount the kidnapper asked for was almost the exact amount of money that John, the dad, had received as a bonus that year from work. Kinda sketchy there, but yeah. So the Ramseys were also reported to not want to cooperate with the police, which is odd because you would think they would try to cooperate, as much as they could to help try to bring some kind of closure to what happened to their daughter and catch whoever did it. All 3 members of the family gave a handwriting sample to rule out that none of them wrote the note. Both John, the dad, and Burke, the son, were ruled out, but Patsy, the mom, was not. Her handwriting did not clear her from any of the suspicions against her, but not much was done about it. Even though there was a lot of suspects, the media focused on Jonbenet's parents the most. Her parents spent years under getting attacked from the media for it. Later on, a Colorado grand jury voted to indict the Ramseys on child endangerment, but the prosecutor felt that the evidence did not meet and declined it. Her parents were never officially named suspects of the murder, but they were definitely suspects. The media viewed them as suspects. They were never declared as it. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the intruder theory, which is the second most popular theory. So there was actually a lot of physical evidence to support this theory. There was a footprint found next to Jonbenet's body, and it did not belong to anyone in the family. There was also a broken window in the basement, and this was believed to be a point of entry for an intruder. There was also DNA from drops of blood found in her underwear from an unknown male. The floors in the family's home was carpeted, which would have made it easier for an intruder to carry her body without waking up everyone in the house. A famous suspect for this case was John Carr, something like that. It's Karr. He was arrested in 2006 for admitting to killing Jonbenet on accident after he drugged and sexually assaulted her. He was actually later let go because there was no drugs found in Jonbenet's body, so that proved his confession wrong, and his DNA did not match the ones found from the samples. In 2006, I don't know how to pronounce that, but Boulder District Attorney took over the case. Then, in 2008, she released a statement stating, "The Boulder District Attorney Office does not consider any member of the Ramsey family, including John, Patsy, or Burke Ramsey, a suspect in the case." So, pretty much ruling out, though, since the media was suspecting them, pretty much ruling that out. So she later on said that they pretty much weren't suspects. But then in 2010, the case was reopened and renewed forces with renew with ren, with renewed forces focuses on the DNA samples. Further testing was then done, and experts now believe that the sample is actually from two individuals instead of one. Then, in 2016, it was announced that DNA would be sent to Colorado Bureau, I think I'm pronouncing that correct, of investigation to be tested using more modern methods. Then, in 2016, CBC aired the case and implied that her 9-year-old brother at the time, Burke, was the killer, even though he was cleared by DNA. Burke then sued CBC for $750 million due to defamation. That's crazy. That's a lot of money there. Alright. So the case is still actually open to this day, and there are countless amount of books, movies, and documentaries about this case. Actually, as well as true crime shows. If you guys go on Netflix, YouTube, look up articles, you will find so much about this case. It's very, very well known. So, like I said, I can't include everything in this video, but some of the other suspects that people were looking at were Gary Olivia, to the housekeeper, so to the housekeeper Linda Hoffman Poo, to the electrician Michael Health, to even the town Santa Bill McRiot. I'm sorry if I mispronounced all their names. I honestly probably did. But there are theories on those people too. So like I said, there are many, many theories in this case that you guys should definitely research on. But those people I just named, none of them have been charged. So yeah. So yeah, you guys, that is actually it for today's case, the Jonbenet Ramsey case. There is a lot of information in this case, like I said, that I could not include, but I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video and how we are formatting it, I guess. So like I said, I am owner number 1. This is my first video. It would mean so much if you guys could subscribe, leave a like, and let us know in the comments down below what other cases we should cover. We can do anything from, missing person, serial killers, or murders, or anything like that. We would love to include that. I also kind of forgot to mention that Jonbenet Ramsey's mom is actually dead now. I'm pretty sure I read correctly that she passed away from cancer. So, yeah. So if you guys have any suggestions on how we can improve our videos, please let us know in the comments down below. We really do need them. And we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye, you guys.